All right, greetings tonight, everybody. Greetings, greetings, greetings. Hello, how are you? I hope everyone's doing fine. I want to welcome you to week 6 of our financial makeover for 2022. Financial makeover for 2022. And we got some real life examples to share with you today. Hopefully it'll help you. Hopefully nobody's been a victim of this stuff. Hopefully, you won't have to go through what I had to deal with. So, welcome again. So here's the background of this. Over the past week, and it's all tied into finances, and this is how to prevent yourself from being scammed. First of all, you got to be very attentive when you start communicating with people, and they're asking you for sensitive. In the military, we call it sensitive items, meaning sensitive information, meaning like key information, birth date, social security numbers, your full name, place you may have been born, your mother's maiden name, all these little details. Someone who with ill intent can use those details to kind of get into your financial system, get into your information and hack into your information and get into your resources. Eventually, they can get into your finances. So this one came over as a job opportunity. Started last Thursday, and some red flags began to come up immediately. So the guy started out with, hey, I want to offer you this job. You're going to be making $30 an hour. You're going to be working from home. So anybody who knows me, that was like perfect for me, What it cuts down on is my travel expenses. They were going to buy the equipment for me, and all I had to do was operate within their system based on the equipment that they gave me. So we started out talking last Thursday, and the guy was saying that, first of all, the first red flag was, he wanted to email me a check for the equipment. So he wanted me to email me a check, have me print the check out, scan and deposit it, send him a copy of my deposit slip. But he didn't initially say that. So here's how it progressed. So it started like that. And so Friday went by, he checked in with me, just make sure everything's okay. Hey, be on the lookout for the check, because at that point, I questioned him. I said, I'm not going to print out a check that you send me in the email and take it to my bank. Okay, so sometimes they're really persistent, and I hope this is going to help somebody. Sometimes they're really persistent, and sometimes they'll go further and further, and just to see if there's a cracking point with you. So I asked him to send me a paper check. He said it will be here in 3-4 days, right? So he checked back with me on Friday. If I'm not mistaken, he called me on Saturday as well. Sunday rolls around, Monday rolls around, and so he began to get in contact with me again. So he contacts me and says, hey, be looking out for this check. This check should be in the mail anytime now. So I waited a few days. And I think it was Thursday morning, the check finally came through. The check came through. And so I got the check. And so I'm going to go back a little bit, backtrack. The name of the organization was CIMC, C-I-M-C. And they were like a global company that, has all kind of top level businesses, handle different accounts. And so my background, one of my background skills is administration. I was in the military. Anybody military minded may know that 42 Alpha is like an administrative or human resources type MOS. And so I possessed that MOS, and I was pretty proficient at it. And most of my job as a training NCO, in my last assignment, I did a lot of that kind of stuff. I was on the computer all day long, making schedules, checking equipment, checking for equipment, scheduling flights, booking hotels, all kind of things, all those things like that. So I was used to that kind of stuff, so it really appealed to me. It's like, wow, I can get back into my niche. I just recently got my computer working where I can have 2 screens. I can use my big screen TV, and I can use my regular monitor, and I can duplicate my screens, and I can use both screens so I can multitask. So moving on forward, so the guy gets back in contact with me and says, okay, this check is en route. He gave me the tracking number. I put the tracking number in the UPS system, and sure enough, there was a check on the way to my house. It gets better. So the check is coming, right? I'm tracking it, I'm looking at the thing, it says, okay, it's already been shipped, and it's on the way, et cetera, et cetera. So about midday Tuesday, UPS man came to the door, and he hung the letter up there. I had some errands to run, so I ran around. Then I came back, and so I opened the package. Sure enough, it was a check. So I examined the check real closely. You know, at this time, I'm already a little suspicious, but, you know, desiring to have a good $30 hour job, as most people would. That was kind of the hook. I mean, that hook he tried to put in me. So I took the check and examined it real well, right? Now, he was suggesting, as a matter of fact, he was urging me to go to the bank and so he can get things started. And his pretense was, I want you to get it started. I want you to get the check cashed so we can go ahead and get this equipment and get everything set up, because I want you to be able to start by the 10th. So that's all his language he's giving to me. So I said, okay, you know, not rushing, just taking my time, examining everything. Observe the check again real closely. The check had a real estate agent's information on it from Kentucky, from Louisville, Kentucky, of all places, Louisville, Kentucky. And it says, you know, it says it was an association of realtors, and it gave all the address and all that information. So it didn't give the phone number. So what I did, I'm like, wait a minute. So this guy is from CEMIC. Why does the check have CEMIC's name on it? So, you know, doing my due diligence. In the background, I'm hoping everything panned out. I know, you know, some of you guys may have caught on sooner, but I just wanted to work it all out, make sure I got all the details. Meantime, in the meanwhile, I called the real estate firm in Kentucky. I initially didn't get an answer from them, and so I go to my financial appointment. So I went to my financial appointment, sitting there in my bank, talking, everything like that. So the guy starts texting me. He said, did you get the check? I said, yeah, I got the check. I'm at the bank now. I'm getting ready to talk to the manager. And so he says, you know, there's no time for that. We got to get this thing started right away. So he told me, he said, go and cash the check, or use the ATM machine and go ahead and deposit, and send me a copy of the deposit slip. So these red flags are flying up everywhere, right? So I just kind of went along with it, and I said, listen, and which it was, the line was long, things are moving slowly. And so me and my manager and I started discussing the details of this check and everything that was going on. You know, and it's like, okay, the more it began to unfold, the more it you know, began to see, I could clearly see that it was some type of scam. So, but I just kind of went along with him for a minute. He kept urging me, you know, and this is not anything racial, but I know this guy's name was David Knight, and he called himself Knight, K-N-I-G-H-T. So in my language, it's David Knight. So but when I talked to him on the phone, you know, and he talked like he was from the deepest part of Nigeria. I mean, he had such a strong Nigerian accent. And I say that because I used to work around a lot of Nigerians. I know the different dialects that they have, and I know when I hear that type of accent. So just like, you know, people from the South or people from the city, you know, their accent based on the region they're from. So this guy, I mean, David, I mean, he had, I'll just say, he had one of the, you know, one of the more common names, I'll say it like that. But he had an uncommon voice. So you know, it wasn't registered. It just really wasn't registering in my head. And I'm like, no, this can't be happening. You know, I'm looking forward to this job. You know, I like to have money. I'm planning some things for my life. And I'm like, this will be a perfect addition at this time with my resources and my finances coming together and me putting everything in place. So I can, you know, I'm ready to launch out, right? So I'm thinking, hey, I'm getting ready to launch out with this $30 hour job, and it's looking good. And I'm telling it to Lacey, and I'm talking about it, and I'm just talking about it. And, you know, I think I told Pastor, and I told several people. So David, at this point, so he's called, started, you know, hey, he said, hey, like, you know, can you go ahead and deposit and send me a copy of the deposit slip? And then you know, the Holy Spirit started letting me know, you know, your information will be on the deposit slip. You know, you have your bank account, your routing number, all your information, and your account number and your banking account, routing number, and all that stuff. All of that stuff will be on this receipt. So I'm thinking, like, wait a minute. You know, he wants me to send this stuff, and it's supposed to be getting more and more creepy. You know, it's just more and more weird. So, make a long story short, I ended up getting a check, or what seemed to be a check. It looked like a check. I had Darnell look at it. Darnell said it looked like it was Photoshop. But it was $6,800. Now that's not the kicker. That's not the kicker. So that check was for $6,800. I didn't cash it. I didn't deposit it. There was no deposit slip that I gave, to David. So on top of that, he had emailed me the check, because I had looked at the check. Once he told me, the email check. Once he told me he was going to send me an email check, I never looked at it. And so I said, no, that's not going to happen. Just send me a paper check. But the email check was for $3,650, and then the printed check was $6,800. Okay, $6,800. Okay, and so I told them that I hadn't gotten the check because at the time I hadn't gotten it. So something in that response made him send me another check. So here it is, a UPS man comes again the next day with another $6,800 check. So we're talking about, that's almost what, almost 15, a little over $16,000. It's $1,680, I mean, $6,800 and some change. But it ended up being almost $15,000. Now, imagine, just imagine, here's the worst case scenario, because that's what it was gonna look like. Imagine me taking and endorsing that check and depositing that check and getting a deposit slip and sending it to somebody I've never heard, I've never seen. I heard his voice. His name and his voice was a round, it was a square peg and a round hole. And it was like, and it's, began to become more and more and increasingly suspicious. So it turns out like after that I attempted that transaction, talked with the manager. I showed the check to a couple of bank officials. They were like, no, don't go near it. And then the lady called me back from Kentucky, from the real estate agent, right? So I was just trying to do my due diligence. So she calls me and she says, I'm glad you called me, sir. She was like, no, this is our bank and this is our information, but we don't have anything to do with that company, and there's no reason for us to send you a check. So I pretty much just forwarded her the check. I don't know what she's gonna do with it. And there was two other separate companies. The checks were written to a real estate agent, a woodworking place in Ohio, and then the third check was written to some kind of construction organization. So I had three separate checks, two for $6,800 and one for $3,650. I'm saying all of this because this is another way to get your credit ruined, because had I taken the bait, and there are people out there who have taken that kind of bait. There are people out there who have done that kind of stuff, and they have given people unexpectedly or unconsciously given someone access to their financial records, to their banking account and all that stuff like that. And then the opportunities are nothing but disasters from there. So if someone comes to you and approaches you with that kind of information, you may be smarter than I am, you may be wiser than I am. I kind of played along with it just to make sure, because I was, deep down inside, I was like, man, this would be perfect. $30 an hour, sit at home, what I'm saying? I could eat and drink at home, no gas fare, no overhead, and I have to go out in the elements, all of that good stuff. It was a 9-to-5 job, perfect for me. So I said that as financial advice to help you understand that there's always someone out there that's trying to ruin your finances. Don't you be the one that ruins your finances. There's so many different things you can do to help improve your finances. You have to be diligent about it. You have to be attentive to your resources and to your finances, because there's someone always out there. And a lot of times they're from foreign countries, and some of them are pretty crafty from the US too, but a lot of times there are networks that are out there that prey on Americans, prey on individuals, and attempt to extort them, or either just steal their identity enough to get into their resources and siphon money out of their account. So that was my real life experience that I'm sharing, because I'm hoping as we go through these financial classes that anything I say up here, anything I've experienced, anything I teach, may be an aid to somebody and may be able to help someone avoid the pitfalls of desire. Because my desire really was to set that thing up. I'm looking for a house. I'm talking to the bank, and I'm getting some things in order and taking care of some responsibilities that are past due. And man, I was so looking forward to that. I really was. And so he almost got me. He almost got me. The Holy Ghost he kept like bringing stuff to my attention, showing me little stuff. I'm like, and I even asked God, I said, God, if this is real, let it be. And then if it's not you, show me. So it panned out that it was not real. So that's just an example, another example how you can ruin your financial standing by just not being attentive to that stuff. And I've heard many stories. Different people have, been sent Cash App money. And in fact, here's another story. And it's all relative to the financial makeover, because it all has to do with finances. People out there praying, not only are your bad habits a detriment to your finances, financial health, but your own susceptibility to hacking or to identity theft. All of those things are real threats to a healthy financial situation. So the next thing is, I went to the bank. So I sat down with this manager and stuff like that. So we began to talk about some finances. I have a couple of things, that as I came out of my marriage, there was a little bit of shambles, some resources, some finances that was off balance. And I'm just being transparent. And there were some things that, kind of didn't get my attention right away. And so they kind of become delinquent. I'm just being transparent. So my effort to get those things resolved, I had to go sit down and talk to the manager. And so she introduced me into something called a pledge loan. I don't know if you guys have heard of that before. I'd never heard of it before, a pledge loan. So a pledge loan is essentially, now it's a lot of times it's done in real estate, but this time it was just done in a regular banking, customer-owned banker situation. And what they were able to do, they were able to, and I thought it was brilliant, and I don't know why I didn't think of it, because I had no idea. So I thought it was brilliant. So what they were able to do, they were able to pull up my credit report, right? There were a few items that I was trying to take care of, right? So I talked with her day one. This was Monday or Tuesday, I think it was. I talked with her day one. And I talked with her, explained to her what I was trying to do. I let her know that, hey, look, I want to take care of this, get this stuff out of the way. So she pulled up the report and said, hey, this is where we can help you here, here, and here. Then she springs on me this pledge loan. I said, okay, talk to me. So she began to say, if I pledge a certain amount of my savings, they can give me a loan based on that amount. Now, here's my disclaimer. If I had gone to a credit repair place, I already talked to one of the persons. The guy told me that it would cost me $148 a month or above, $148 a month, just for them to work on my credit. And they would eventually report this stuff to the credit bureau. But that'll be money that I would never see again. Now, here's the comparison. With the pledge loan, they take a portion of my money and put it in a separate account. On that account, they draw a check for me to pay for those accounts that I'm trying to eliminate. So they give me the check, and what I had to do was I had to call each person, each agency, had to call them, had to get an accounting number, had to get the balance and everything. So I got all that together, and I went back to the manager. So they took and made the loan according to the things I was trying to pay off. Now, here's what works for you. In the process, they give you the loan, right? And they can cut individual cashier's checks to each one of those creditors, however many you have, if you have the resources. They give you the checks, you mail them to the creditors receive the check, pay off the balance, and report that to the credit union. Now, on that loan, so you may be thinking, what happened to that loan, that money that you got? Okay, my money is still there, visible to me, right? It's set off in a separate account, and I still have access to my regular savings and my regular checking. So in that account that is set aside, every time I make a payment into that account, that amount of money goes back into my savings account. You heard it right. I borrow the money from myself essentially, with no penalty. The small interest rate. Of course, the bank's not gonna give you anything free. Let's just be honest. So that money that I had set aside, they loaned me money on that money, right? Because here's the other scenario. Many of you thinking, well, hey, why don't you just pay your own money, right? Why don't you just pay your own money and take care of this debt? Well, what that looks like to a credit bureau or someone who's investigating your credit, it looks like huge withdrawals. Can't always say that word, withdrawals. Withdrawals, yeah. It looks like you've withdrawn money in huge amounts. So it would have been a couple of huge amounts that I would have withdrawn from my account, which would have negatively impacted my credit because it looks like I'm financially unstable. But with this method, with the pledge method, what happens is I make those payments, my balance stays the same, that money's still visible, right, on both the savings account, checking account, and the special account where they have the money set aside to collateral, that's the word I'm looking for, to collateral the loan, right? So they collateral the loan, I pay them, they pay it back into my account. So by the time I get to the end of those payments, a couple of things are happening, right? I'm keeping my own money with a small bank, a fee for the bank, of course. Now, my balances don't change drastically by being reduced by me taking the money out and sending it, right? So that money I would never get back. But here's what helps me in my mind is, okay, I'm making payments, regular payments, they report that to the credit bureau, and therefore I have a healthy balance, shows stability. I have regular on-time payments, shows credit worthiness, and my resources are stable. I'm not volatile, I don't spend a lot of money, waste a lot of money, balances are not dropping real low, and I'm actually building up my credit on both ends, because when the creditors get those checks, they pay off those balances, they report that to the credit union. Now that boosts my score up higher. I don't know exactly how much, but then on the other hand, now I'm making regular payments to that bank, and my credit worthiness is continually increasing and increasing and increasing and increasing. And it makes my credit situation so much more healthier, so much more healthier. So that's just a couple of ways which you can tap into and help you get your finances, your resources in order. There's so many tools out there that a lot of people know that we really don't know, that we got to really open our eyes to. Ask questions. If there's a financial issue that you have, find somebody that you trust. And just ask a question or two. Find out who's doing what. If you see a guy or a woman, that looks like they're successful, look like they got it together financially, and you usually can tell, and just walk up to him and ask him. Or get with your pastor. Pastor Al is an accountant. I'm doing a plug for my pastor. He's an accountant, and he's very savvy with numbers and knows how to do all of this stuff. Take care of finances, resources. I mean, he's told you before he was able to get the church out of debt. The church is debt free. I guarantee you won't find many churches anywhere that are debt free. And thriving. And thriving. There you go. The key is that debt free and thriving. So the resources are available in the general public at your local bank. You can go to them and sit down. You can quiz them, you can find out what resources are available. The next thing I want to talk about is LLC, Limited Liability Corporations. A limited liability, and I also want to mention trust accounts. So, listen, let me give this disclaimer. I do not, by any means, confess to be a financial advisor. I'm giving you time-tested items that I've experienced, and also giving you good field research and competent information from banking officials, okay? So I'm giving you all of that, and I'm not an official financer, else I'd be charging you guys for this stuff, so. Maybe I should become one. Pastor Al, I need to talk to you so I can get hooked up and become an accountant, sir. So anyway, so a limited liability corporation, here's the skinny. Limited liability corporation is a place that you can put your money where it can be sheltered. Now, you gotta have like a business name and all of that stuff like that. It should be legitimate. It should be a part of a business that you're trying to establish, not just going out and getting an LLC trying to hide your money from the government. That's not what I'm saying. But an LLC can afford you some tax coverage in certain areas because it is itself a corporation with limited liabilities. That name, those initials LLC mean limited liability corporation. That means your liabilities will be limited. It means no one can come after you and attack your resources, garnishments, and all of those things on you. So LLC is a good place to start. Go to your financial institute, sit down with them, talk about it. Find out how you can, especially those who are in business. You know, if you have a business, hey, I suggest put stuff under your LLC. Put it under there and have your stuff sheltered so that you'll be able to be protected even from identity theft and a lot of these other things. You have it, it's not even in your name, and you know, some of the richest people are using this stuff. I mean, rich actors and actresses, however you may feel about former President Donald Trump, hey, he's a billionaire. So, you know, you may not have liked his politics, but he's proven in the business world. So, and you can glean from somebody like that, whether you approve of his finances, his politics or not. So, anyway, some of this information comes from Dave Ramsey, some of it comes from Donald Trump, from different other sources out there, because the resources out there, the Bible says this: the lack of knowledge. My people are destroyed because of lack of knowledge. Meaning, if you don't know something, it could be destructive for you. If you're in an arena, let's just say, we can even use that in the Christian arena. If you're a believer and you don't understand what you're entitled to and what your power is, you can become susceptible to unscrupulous leaders. You can become susceptible unto different spirits, especially. You know, you can get attacked by spirits and you won't even know how to respond in your spiritual life. So there are people out there that God put in this earth. We're supposed to be, as the Bible says, helpers one to another. So if there's someone out there you can help them. If there's someone you desire help from or you need help, then hey, get in contact. You can even text here to I Am Church, put some comments in the comment box, and I'm sure Pastor have one of the elders get back with you, or he himself may steer you to some of the financial classes he's already done and put on YouTube. So the resources are out there. I encourage you as a people of God, let's not come out of 2022 in the same financial condition that we were in 2021. Let's not be strapped for cash. Let's not be financially imbalanced. Let's get our acts together. This is called Financial Makeover 2022 for a very good reason. It's early in the year. Tax season is ahead, and there's some things that you can accomplish by using your money wisely, even projecting. Even as your taxes begin to come in, don't think about it as, wow, I'm going to go on a spending spree and get everything that I didn't get. Postpone that gratification, like I said last week. Postpone that gratification. What I often do, if I get a check from the government or some kind of refund or something like that, I'll put that thing down and just look at it, because I'm human. I'm anxious to say, man, I like these shoes. I like this suit, because I like nice clothes. I like nice things. I could get some stuff for my truck. I could buy some things, and I just kind of step back for a minute. I step back and let it just kind of, the emotion of the increase just kind of settle down on me. I don't immediately make any decisions. Sometimes I'll just put that thing away for a couple of days and won't even look at it, so I can get my mind adjusted. Okay, here are more resources that are coming into your hands. What are you going to do with it? Of course, you have to tithe on it, right? You must, as a believer, I believe you must, as a believer, give your tithe. So that part should come out first. Then, whatever you do with the 90%, it should be very well grounded in sound financial principles. Find somewhere to save it, right? Because listen, it's money, extra money that otherwise you wouldn't have gotten, right? So live your budget out for your 30-day period as if that check didn't exist. Now, if you want to spend some of it just for gratification, spend a minimum amount of it. Go get your steak dinner and be satisfied. Go get you a couple of t-shirts, Pastor say it's some new underwear. Go get you a few things that's going to satisfy you, and you won't be so anxious to jump up and run out and take that money and give it away to vendors. Because guess what? Once you cash it, the urgency for it to leave, if you don't hold those dead presidents back, they're ready to go. And once you put them across that merchandise counter, you'll never see them again. You'll never see them again. They are gone, man. They're gone. So you got to be wise about your money. You got to be really, really wise about your money because, listen, a financial windfall in the amount of $10,000, $20,000 that comes into your hand can leave just as quickly with frivolous spending or giving it away or just being irresponsible. So, you know, LLC is a good way to go. Go to your banker, if you bank, and find out. Ask your cousin who's a finance specialist, ask your pastor, ask someone who knows more than you know, and find out exactly what you need to do to help you in this financial area, a limited liability corporation. I found out today, all of this is like, you know, my daily experience, all of this happened to me in the past week. So I'm trying to make sure I got all my T's crossed, my I's dotted, because, you know, I want to buy a house soon. So I thought about an account that I had in Fort Bragg, North Carolina, right? I said, and Fayetteville, North Carolina, Fort Bragg Federal Credit Union. So I reached out to them. I said, listen, do I have any outstanding balances, et cetera, et cetera? They were like, nope. But you do have a Roth IRA. I said, what? A Roth IRA, right? And so they told me that I had money in it. I was surprised because, you know, once I closed the accounts, I kind of left that thing there and just kind of left it behind and forgot all about it. And this was over 2 years ago. So it's down there, you know, it's down there taking care of business. I'll put it like that. So, and it's a way that even though I didn't intend to, I hid money for myself. And I hid it for myself. It's almost like a treasure, you know. I even recently found, I misplaced my driver's license, military ID, and my VA card. And so in the back of my truck, you know, where I store stuff sometimes, I went into one of the compartments or one of the pockets of the clothes that I had, an article of clothes I had back there. And voila, I found it, right? It was in, because I like to keep my cards in sleeves to protect them. So I found the cards, and I was like, wow, I knew there was somewhere. Because listen, I'm telling you, everything is somewhere. Nothing, if it's lost to your sight. It's not lost in the earth because it's somewhere. So anyway, something is somewhere, right? Nothing is completely lost. It's just out of your sight. So I guess that's what lost means. But anyway, so I looked in that thing and I had saved a $20 bill. I found a $20 bill folded up in there. And that's what I mean by hiding money. That's what I mean by hiding money from yourself. I took that $20 bill, right, and I put fuel in my vehicle. And so it was like, okay, money, it's almost like, I gave you the analogy 2 weeks ago about the future you, say miles 2030. Let's say miles 2030, right? And so miles 2030 would have looked back at miles 2022 and said, man, that was a good job. You did a good job. You're learning about finances. And so he comes to me and, you know, from his 2030, and he's looking sharp, you know what I'm saying? He got money in his pocket, nice watch, nice shoes on, you know. He's showing me that the things that I'm learning now, he's going to be applying. And I know it's like third person, but, you know, I'm just giving you an analogy how it looks. If you're and pretty much you're preparing yourself for the future you. Let's look at it like that. You're preparing yourself now for the future you. How do you want to look in the future? How do you want to look in 2023, 2024, 2025? And if you don't apply anything in 2022 during this financial makeover or your own personal makeovers or however you go about it, then by the time you get to 2025 and 2030, you might not be looking like you wish you want to look. If you had taken some of the advice your pastor's been giving you, and then if he's not your pastor, Pastor Alfred Craig Jr., if you've been taking any of that advice, if you've been going to any of the classes, you've been taking any of that stuff seriously, and if you have been applying it to your life, there should be a change already. There should be some kind of change, some kind of increase that says, hey, wait a minute, I took these things and I employed them, and now I got the results. And so by the time you get down the road, we say in a few years, 2023 should be looking better than 2022. 2024 should be looking better than 2023, and so on and so on. By the time you meet the 2030 you, the 2030 you shouldn't be looking like the 2022 you. You should be in, that's 8 years. That's 8 years. In 8 years, it's a shame. You shouldn't be the same person in 8 years. Financially, spiritually, mentally, emotionally, you shouldn't be that same person, because we're all supposed to be growing in grace and in the knowledge of God for our spiritual side. And we're also supposed to be increasing and prospering and being in health even as our soul prospers. So now, are you going to be in health if you're not doing healthy things, right? How is your soul going to prosper if you're putting bad things in your soul, or your soul is still at a low state, or your soul is still suffering from some things and you're not getting the attention, going to the face of God, pleading with God for those things, so you don't end up 8 years from now being the same person. Listen, we're just trying to hear it. We're just trying to help you be the best you can be. We're just trying to help you be the best you can be. And trust me, the same medicine that I'm feeding you guys, the same medicine I'm taking it every day. Looking and figure out how I can get better every single day. What can I do? What is my health like? Nope, that's enough sugar. No, that's too much salt. I have to really, and it's all about stewardship, people. It's really all about how well you can make the adjustment. Another note, I was talking to the manager of the bank today, and she was talking about change. And many people may not know this about me, very few, but I don't really like change. I'm a creature of habit. I'm not a robot, but I try to live life structured to where I get things accomplished in a systematic way that I know that they're going to work, right? So we were talking about that, and I'll share the incident, and I'll share it with you guys, just comic relief as we go and finish this thing up. So 2007, I was at Fort Bragg, North Carolina. I had been down there for a number of years. I was in some reserve training, mobilization, active duty stuff. And I got on the Active Guard Reserve program, right? Full-time military. So I was supposed to PCS and go to another city. Man, I've been so comfortable. I was a mile from Walmart. Everything that I need was within walking distance or within 2 or 3 miles. My favorite fish spot was maybe a mile and a half away. Man, I just really had it made. I was 3 miles or 4 miles from Fort Bragg, the job, so I had it made. And so when it came time for me to change, hear me, people, because change is difficult. I'm the first to admit it. I was in church crying like a baby. Why was I crying? Because my normal was being interrupted. The thing that, it's almost like if you've ever been in the country, right? And sometimes you can see it in the city. But if you're in the country and you walk across a field enough times, or walk across a certain dirt path so many times, you're going to pack that thing down, right? And most of the time, that path won't change because people will what? They'll continue to follow that path, and it will get deeper and deeper. Even I've seen it change from season to season. Now, in the wintertime, all the vegetation is dead, right? But it comes back in the spring, right? But that same path that people have always traveled is still there. You know why? Because it's so grounded, it's so ground down, it's so deeply rooted. They take that same path every time they go through there. The surrounding vegetation, everything is growing up green and healthy, but the path that they're taking is trampled down and worn out. Because they repeatedly do the same thing over and over and over and over and over again. And that's an example of life. If you have patterns that you're doing the same wrong thing over and over and over and over again, it's going to become a pattern. That is a habit that you'll do unconsciously, and you won't even realize you're doing it, and then you'll do it so much that by the time you realize that it was the wrong thing, it will seem like something that's totally foreign to you. You know, you're like, wait a minute, I've done it this way. You heard it. I've done it this way all my life. That doesn't mean it's right. Doesn't mean it's right. You can do a thing the same way your entire life and be dead wrong. Get some more information, get some more input, find out how you can change, improve, increase, and work on your financial situation. Who doesn't want more money? I believe we're about to be in a harvest season from God, where He talks about the former and the latter rain. Now, the former rains are the rains that come early to water the crops, and the latter rains are like those heavier rains, right? Sustaining rains that once the crops have been watered and been germinated and they're starting to grow, and now guess what? They need more water than that little seed did when that seed was put in the ground. That seed needs a certain amount of water just to germinate, just to get going, just to spring up, just to become that sprout that's sticking out of the ground. Now, in order for that sprout to get stronger, to become a stalk, become a vine, to become a tree, it has to have much more water than it did as a little tiny seed. Hear me, believers, hear me. It takes more to get more out of the seed that you're planting. It takes more. It takes more effort. It takes more diligence. It takes more attentiveness. It takes more time for you to pay attention to the little details and cultivate that stuff that you have in order for it to grow. If you really want it to grow, you got to cultivate it. It won't do it on its own. I've been in a mode before where I laid around and, in my transitional states and my issues of life, and I didn't do anything. And guess what? And nothing happened. Surprisingly, nothing happened. I waited and nothing happened because I didn't do anything. So you'll find that, unless you got some kind of special powers, that if you don't do something about the stuff that needs to be done, it won't happen. It won't happen. I've been there. I'm telling you. I'm only telling you today's experiences and the stuff that I know from my own life. If you don't do it, it won't happen. Those things that were there that I was responsible for when I was initially responsible for them, if I had kept ignoring those things, guess what? 20, 30, I would still be responsible for them. I mean, they say 7 years it comes off, but still, it would have been a mark on my credit report. So those things that I'm responsible for, I'm taking responsibility and taking care of those things. Getting all the small foxes out of my vineyard so they don't destroy my vine. And I encourage you to. So this is Financial Makeover for 2022. I hope something that I've said here has been some type of help to you. I hope it's been an encouragement to you. I hope that if you have questions that you will ask, that you will even ask Pastor Al for the videos. You will ask for more resources. The man is a wealth of knowledge. We had a recent financial class on buying homes with a couple of great, outstanding financial minds in our community, and they were able to give us some great resources. Look, take all that stuff to heart, and the biggest thing that you can do with any information is apply it, and then adjust it. Apply it, see what results you get, and make the adjustments so that you can be prosperous in your own life. I appreciate you. I appreciate you tonight. So next week, we're going to be going into some more examples. We're going to talk some more about the financial mindset. We're going to talk about bankruptcy. We're going to talk about a few more things concerning your finances, how you can come out of bad habits, and how some of these things. And I'm going to give you a whole breakdown next week on LLCs, where to go, what can be sheltered. And keep this in mind, I'll be also talking about trust accounts. I'll be talking about trust accounts, some things that as I learned them, you may already know, but there are things that can help the people who don't know. And you can see these finances, your resources, in a way that you've never seen before. So God bless you. That's Financial Makeover 2022 for this Wednesday night. God bless you, and I'll see you next week.